Sooner or later, someone is going to ask you, what are your salary expectations? This is the first video in a series I'm calling Interview Questions and Answers, and in this video, I'm giving you 3 tips that you must follow when you are confronted with the salary expectations question. So keep it right there, grab a notepad and smash that like button. You don't want to miss any of this. What's up, you guys? My name's Darren, but you can call me the Ramblin' Recruiter. I've been a recruiter for nearly 2 decades now, and I'm passionate about helping people find the job of their dreams and make the most of their career. The first step on those journeys is to subscribe. Click the bell to enable notifications, and you'll never miss anything again. So, let's get into this, shall we? Ever wonder what's the best answer to the question, what are your salary expectations, or what's your expected compensation? Have you ever been asked to include this information in an online job application? I'll bet you have. Sooner or later, at some point of the application or the interview process, somebody's going to ask you this question. Getting it wrong can be very detrimental to you for a number of reasons. Number 1, you ask for too much and you knock yourself right out of contention before you even have a chance to interview. Number 2, you ask for too little and you end up painting yourself in a corner when the company would have been willing to go higher. Number 3, you give a range of salaries, and I guarantee when you give a range, you're thinking the top end. The company you're interviewing with is only thinking about the bottom end. So what's a candidate to do? There's no escaping this question. You can defer it for a while, but you can't completely get away from it. Sooner or later, you're going to have to give some kind of an answer, and it's going to have to be in the form of a number. So here's some tips on how to get it right. Tip number 1. Actually, before we get into tip number 1, consider becoming a supporter of the channel via Patreon. My patrons get access to me 24/7 for coaching and can help support the channel continue to deliver great content. I rely on the support of viewers just like you to continue to be able to develop good content. Please consider supporting the channel. Thanks to my current supporters, and if you're interested in supporting the channel but don't want to make the monthly commitment via Patreon, I understand. There's a link to my PayPal below in the description for you to make a one-time contribution. Okay, now on to tip number 1. Delay as long as possible. Many times online job applications will require you to enter a number in order to be able to proceed. It will not allow you to write anything in that space like I'm open to negotiation or open to consideration. It actually requires a number or you will get an error. In this case, my suggestion is to enter $1. This way, you've entered the number, you've satisfied the requirement, and you're able to progress forward with the application, and you don't have to worry, nobody's really going to consider offering you $1. Many times recruiters will ask this question early in the interview process. The reason they do that is new laws prevent them from asking about your current or previous compensation history. This is called the Fair Pay Act of 2016, a very well-intentioned law that helps to mitigate ongoing compensation inequities, primarily for women and people of color. It's a good law. However, it forces recruiters to ask this question early in order to find out if the candidates that they're speaking to are actually the correct fit. Now, you have 2 options here. One is to give them an actual number. My salary expectations are X. Hope that you're in the right range and just keep your fingers crossed that you're not setting yourself up for a very difficult negotiation going forward. Or 2, you could answer with something like this. While money is of course important to me, I'm much more interested in the career opportunity with XYZ Corporation and how that's going to benefit me in the long run. I'm open to consideration, keeping in mind the value and experience that I bring to the position. They may not love that answer, but they're going to accept it. Tip number 2. First, give that like button a quick smash if you haven't already done so, and prepare your actual answer for tip 2 by putting together on paper what you would call your positive minimum plan. Let me explain. Your positive minimum plan is your absolute bottom dollar, the absolute lowest salary that you would consider accepting the position for, assuming it meets all of your other criteria. Now, when you're putting together your positive minimum plan, there's a lot more things that go into it than just base salary. Most people get very hung up on base salary. They forget about some of the other aspects of total compensation. You need to take all of these into consideration, like for example, base salary, bonus target, and the actual bonus amount that's paid. benefits, cost of benefits, the usefulness of those benefits, any long-term incentives like stock options or other forms of equity, any perks that you might get such as subsidized childcare, subsidized cafeteria, free gym membership, free cell phone, retirement savings both pre and post-tax, cost of the commute, time of the commute, and of course PTO or vacation time. It's really helpful to have all this written down, and if there are pieces of the puzzle that you don't know offhand, find out before you find yourself in a position where you have to spew this information off to a recruiter. You leave nothing open to interpretation. Tip number 3, hey, don't forget about the October $500 500 subscriber contest. I'll link to it up here if you need a refresher. It was one of my first attempts at live streaming, so sorry that the video pretty much sucks, but you'll get the idea. Also, quick interlude. I just want to call your attention to this. Who wouldn't want that face on a t-shirt? Tip number 3, remember the first rule of negotiation. He or she who speaks first loses. Try very hard to get the recruiter or the hiring manager to give you a range of the salary before you name a number. If that's not possible, you have 2 choices. 1, you can share your compensation in full as you worked out previously in tip number 2 and say something to this effect. I'm looking for a reasonable increase above that, keeping in mind my experience and the value I bring to the position. Or 2, you can choose not to share any information whatsoever about your current compensation and only go with your desired. Now keep in mind, this can backfire on you. If you choose to go this route, be prepared for a very lengthy negotiation because the recruiter or hiring manager is just taking a total stab in the dark at what's an adequate and fair compensation plan. Now, just a note here, many career experts will advise you not to share any details whatsoever about your current compensation, only to talk about what your desired compensation is. There's ups and downs to that. Now, personally, this is just my opinion, but I believe if you're at the stage of the process where you're about to receive an offer, you're considering joining this new organization, hopefully by now you've built up enough trust with them that you would feel comfortable sharing details of your current compensation, especially if it's going to help you get to where you want to be. If you don't have that level of comfort yet, I think what you have are a lot of red flags telling you that maybe this isn't a good company for you to work for. That's just my opinion. Others may disagree. Here's my final thoughts. How you answer the salary expectation question is going to have a profound impact on how the rest of the interview process and the offer process goes. Don't take this question lightly. If you spout off a number that's too high, too early, you may never get to that final interview. And if you spout off a number that's too low, too early, you will have absolutely painted yourself in a corner, because once you've said, I'll take X, it's going to be impossible to then backtrack that and say, actually, I want X plus 10. If you'd benefit from additional job search, resume writing, and interview coaching, then consider becoming a supporter of the channel on Patreon. My patrons get access to coaching based on their level of support, and I rely on the support of viewers like you to continue to be able to do this and put out great content. If you are interested in becoming a supporter, but you're not interested in the monthly commitment, you aren't able to do the monthly commitment, I totally understand. Consider making a one-time contribution. The link to my PayPal is below in the description. Also, merchandise such as the t-shirt you saw and the mug is available in my Teespring store, and the few bucks that I make off of those sales definitely helps keep this channel going, so I appreciate that. Hey, Future Darren here, just to remind you of something that I forgot to mention before. The link to the t-shirt store down below in the description includes a $5 off gift code. Enjoy! If you haven't already done so, go ahead and subscribe and click the bell to enable notifications so you never miss anything again. Also, check out the video that's down below here. That's the one that YouTube thinks you would like the best. Enjoy the rest of your job searching day. See you next time.